Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to students, staff, trustees of our Board of Education, community members, distinguished guests, and friends and family of Sarah Foster. We're gathered here today to celebrate Sarah Foster for her work in Harrison and the school community. And while we do feel incredible sadness and loss for a beautiful life taken too soon, we also celebrate the fact that all of us here tonight have felt the impact through friendship, education, laughter, and love from Sarah. I want to thank first the committee that's worked with me to organize this event: Amy Kiernan, Lisa O'Reilly, Kristen Carney, Angela DiCiudue, and Erin Bermudez for your tireless hours organizing this event. Thank you to Dr. Wool for his support and guidance through the planning. Thank you to our Board of Education who supported the staff in so many ways these past weeks. And thank you to the staff and students who have shown incredible strength through community in the past few months. I met Sarah back on June 13th, 2016. And I know this because I found out years later the notes of the interview that were kept in a planner emblazoned with her Union College alma mater next to the laminated appointment letter to work at Harrison as a sixth grade teacher. It embodied the type of person Sarah was. Goals in life are set, plans are made that you achieve, and when you complete them, you set new ones and memorialize your accomplishments. The notes from the interview included the carefully planned questions Sarah came with that day, because although she was there applying to work in Harrison, she was really there interviewing Marlene Kalana and us as much as we interviewed her. She was curious how closely teachers work together because collaboration was so important to her. She was curious about the professional development opportunities because she wanted to get better and better. And perhaps most telling was that she asked questions about how we achieve our goals of opening doors and providing equity and access to students in the middle school. This is no typical teacher, and we wondered why in the world was she still available? You know, we look for change agents, and when we hire them, and you know, there are times when you meet a person and you say, you just know this is the right fit. And so we hired her. And so began for me the joy of getting to do what any principal dreams of doing: watching a young teacher grow up before your eyes. It's one of the best parts of the job. Our school family watched this blaze of energy show up in September of 2016 and forever change us. For students, Sarah was the teacher who came in early, stayed late, spent nights reading history and planning lessons to make it become alive and relevant, and making sure that, you know, a classroom may have 22 students, but if you're a sixth grader, it always seemed to feel like a class of one. It's telling how many students have come to me to tell me how much they loved your class. And for parents, I watched Sarah through every meeting, point of contact, make each one know that their child and their child alone was the single most important person in the world, because she knew they were. And for teachers, I watched as someone who came in and said, I'm new, but that does not mean I can't put myself out there at meetings, present my work, ask for constructive feedback, build programs, and at the same time laugh and build loving friendships and camaraderie in a way that every staff aspires to, but so few can. I've come to know that Sarah had great mentors in her parents, Stu and Lori, and her friends growing up through Hampton Hall and Union College. And they taught her to be focused, achieve her goals, and most importantly, be ethical. Sarah knew that to excel at teaching, you have to be all in. It's not a 7-hour day or a 10-month job. It meant studying content and pedagogy, and she did so taking a rich array of courses, reading about methods, new interpretations of history, current events, and understanding the developmental aspects of middle schoolers. She was one of the first people to be trained in our new IB MYP program. I am sure she took copious notes at all her sessions, because when she returned, she quickly worked with her colleagues to transform the sixth grade curriculum. And I often walk by those planning sessions that Sarah had with her colleagues and marveled at the focus and attention to detail to make sure it was the best unit possible. And when the time came to show the Board of Education and our community what these units look like, it wasn't a veteran of 20 years, but a second-year teacher named Sarah Foster who said, I'll present because I believe in this work. And later, when the staff needed a model for unit development to learn from, Sarah and her team presented, but they did so with the understanding that they get feedback from the staff, opening the door for a feedback loop that exists among the staff at LMK and continues to grow. We owe such a great deal as a faculty for this. And Sarah knew that things that might seem small can be large in a child's life. And I just want to cite a couple of examples that come to mind. Most educators talk about the importance of students coming to school happy and ready to learn and leaving the same way. And I saw countless moments where Sarah would stop seeing a child at 7:30 in the morning who looked either sad or confused, kneel down beside him or her to have a conversation, to be at their level. And I saw her in the afternoons at bus duty, getting to know every child, not just the ones she taught, walking the new boy or girl who couldn't find their way from the bus and making sure no bus driver left without. Little moments matter. And during the beginning of this winter sports season, I watched a young Sarah Foster struggle day after day in tears, asking me, how can I make cuts on my volleyball team? She told me it challenged her views about opportunities for all. I knew, of course, she would do so in a way that kept every child whole, and she did. You see, folks, teaching is about your subject and your classroom, but it's also so much more. It's about those things that Sarah made so very special to children and adults. And so knowing Sarah has been a joy for me, and I really only wish for two other things. One is that she taught my three children, because when I told them about her class, and I often tell them about our great teachers, they could see it would have been special. And they said, that's what I was supposed to have, Dad. That must have been an incredible teacher. And I told them, well, of course, she was. And I wish I could have had more talks about the history books each of us had, because we read and shared. I wish I could have one more lesson to watch like the last observation she had, debating the merits of direct democracy. Quite timely and quite excellent, although Sarah's reflection ended as it always did. How can I improve, Scott? I just want to get better. Time's not always in our control, I've realized. I've come to understand that in these past few weeks and months. But I finish with my words with one final thought. When you teach, you touch lives, more than you probably could ever imagine. You build a legacy that lasts longer than you could ever imagine and long after you. And since Sarah's done that, tonight we can rejoice and we can celebrate again and again and again. Thank you. And so, at this time, I would like to call up to the podium to present her greetings to all of us, the President of our Board of Education and great support to our learning community, Kelly Mulvoy-Mangan.
Good evening. On behalf of all of the members of the Board of Education here today, Lindy Wolverton, Kelly Kozak, Rachel Estroff, as well as Dino Puccio, Rob Sullivan, and Dennis DiLorenzo, I want to share our deepest condolences and sympathy with the family, friends, colleagues, and students of Sarah Foster gathered here today. Each of you has suffered an unimaginable loss. It's often said at gatherings like this that words are inadequate to express how we feel. And yet words are the only medium that we have to communicate and share our feelings with one another. Words were an integral part of how Sarah spent her time at LMK Middle School. The words in the documents and texts and assessments and conversations with her students about their social studies curriculum, words in the presentations she made at Board of Education meetings, words in professional development where she became the best teacher she could possibly be, words to help members of her modified volleyball team become better players and teammates. It's also often said that while people may not remember the exact words that you said to them, they will always remember how you made them feel when you spoke to them and when you shared time with them. In her far too brief time at LMK, Sarah spent time with her 6th grade students, her fellow teachers, the players on her volleyball team, and the staff and aides who make our middle school feel like home. In how she taught and spoke and engaged and shared, she made her colleagues feel respected and supported, her players feel well coached, and her students feel smart and challenged and encouraged and cared for. She made the people in our school community feel loved. Grief is the unfortunate price that we pay for love. And so, as we mourn Sarah's death, The people here whose lives she touched with her words and actions will never be the same. Thank you very much.
At this time, to present a special honor, I would like to call up our local New York State Senator, Shelley Mayer.
Thank you very much, and it's an honor to be here to honor Sarah's memory and to acknowledge her on behalf of all the people of New York. And, you know, I have the great honor of being chair of the Senate Education Committee for the whole state. And I know that there are teachers and people in our school community who touch the lives and change the lives of their students and their colleagues. She was obviously that kind of person. This school was so blessed to have her too short a time. But on behalf of the people of New York State, the New York State Senate passed a bipartisan unanimous resolution honoring her memory and acknowledging her contribution, which I would like to present to you, her parents. And I will just put on my glasses to read part of it. And it says, whereas this legislative body is deeply moved to inscribe upon its records this remembrance of Sarah Alexis Foster, a young woman whose spirit and zest for life attracted people to her. She had a magnetic personality and a smile that would light up any room. And then we go on to mourn the tragic and untimely death. And then we go on to say not only about her family, but what a person, and this is what touches me, of incredible spirit and enthusiasm. She brought enduring honor and integrity to her family and loved ones through her many accomplishments, and her memory will remain in the hearts of all those who had the privilege of knowing her. And we resolve, this legislative body, pause in its deliberations to mourn the tragic and untimely death of Sarah Foster and to express our deepest condolences to our family. And this was done without my knowing her, but about hearing about her and understanding that she made an incredible and lasting impact on this school, on the students, and on her colleagues. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Senator Mayer. As you know, so many teachers work closely with Sarah, and at this time, I'd like to call up members of Team L, 6th grade social studies team, and Sarah's closest friends to join me here, and to speak on behalf of the LMK teaching staff will be Angela Fisher.
In the fall of 2016, Sarah walked into LMK and our 6th grade family, an eager young educator ready to make her mark in a new school. She promptly slipped on a wet spot in the hall and wiped out, which was all caught on security camera. That was the beginning of many incidents of hysterical laughter that we had the privilege to share with our Sarah. As a teacher, Sarah filled her students with her love of her favorite topic, history. Her enthusiasm for what she taught was contagious, and her students were the beneficiaries of her passion. This exuberance was evident in all aspects of her life. Whether she was coaching her volleyball team, researching local charities with the service club, herding students onto buses after school, or quelling an argument in the lunchroom, Sarah handled her students with wisdom beyond her years. Always listening and showing great compassion and care. She had a magical way of connecting with people, so much so that even a casual acquaintance felt like a lifelong friend. She is genuinely loved by all the children and colleagues whose lives she touched. Sarah never missed an opportunity to learn more about history. When a group of us went away on a weekend trip a few months ago, Sarah's eyes lit up after hearing about a local town history tour, and she asked us to give up spa and hiking time to go on the tour. We rolled our eyes and had a good laugh. That was classic Sarah, always taking her passion everywhere she went. Over the years, we came to understand that Sarah was unique. She was a firecracker filled with stories of friends, travel, and New York City experiences. Her inability to park her car properly, her endless supply of teacher memes, and her amazing work ethic are all memories that make us smile. She had an energy level that would leave us all in the dust. Sarah was our perfect partner in crime, who could be silly and serious at the same time. We will forever miss her incredible smile and the mischievous twinkle in her eyes. Sarah was an amazing force of nature. We realized that few people had Sarah's zest for life and spontaneity. Those of us lucky enough to be in her circle were caught up in her career goals and future dreams. She radiated hope, and all of us were the beneficiaries of her fun-loving spirit. She was the full speed of our team in the entire 6th grade, and everyone who knew her wanted to be around her light. We will remember her incredible love of pesto and the fact that she could never resist a piece of cake during team meetings. We will look back fondly on a time when the hardest thing we had to deal with during the school day was deciding on what to order for lunch. The sound of her clicking boots down the hall let us know that she was present and laughter was about to ensue. Sarah had an incredible love for her family and spoke of them often. The impact that she had on all of our lives, even in the few short years, has been tremendous, and we know that it is a testament to the beautiful life she lived before we had the joy of knowing her. Our memories of the gorgeous, intelligent, stylish, and spirited Sarah will be a source of happiness for the rest of our lives. She taught us that we should search for joy wherever we can find it, even in life's smallest moments. She taught us the power of selfless giving and how even the simplest kind gesture can make someone's day easier and put a smile on their face. Even though she was one of the youngest in our group, she taught us so much about living each day to the fullest, and we promise to honor her memory by doing just that.
The Harrison Association of Teachers is a great supporter of our teachers and throughout their careers. And nothing is more important than when they help them in the early years. And so here to present a special honor for Sarah from the Harrison Association of Teachers, I'd like to call up from the LMK staff, one of our members and Vice President of the Union, Joe McLeese.
It is truly an honor to be here tonight to represent the Teachers Association as well as to honor Sarah. We've all encountered in many different ways Sarah's spirit, her spunk, and her love of life. And so we thought it was fitting to honor her life with life. And so through the Jewish National Foundation, the association has purchased and will be planting 18 trees in Israel in her honor. 18, I have learned from my Jewish friends, represents Chai, or life, in Hebrew. And so the foundation has sent us a beautiful certificate that we will be giving the family. And we want to thank you for sharing her with us.
Beautiful gesture. So the committee that met with me these past few weeks felt that this wouldn't be an evening without the voice of students. And we've asked 6 students tonight to come up and represent the LMK student body. And so at this time, I would call up Evie Rabin, Alexis Ghazali, Lauren Davidson, Jack Ive, Lucy Naruva, and Gavin backup. And I want you to know that the students represent all the different worlds in which Sarah touched. 6th graders, 7th graders, 8th graders, students on the volleyball team, students who are in the service club. And so I'd like you all to come up here, and representing the students will be Evie Ray.
Teacher, coach, cafeteria monitor, bus monitor, club advisor, friend to everyone. These are all the different ways people remember Miss Foster. Miss Foster always came to school with a smile on her face, ready to start the day. She was not only a teacher who was passionate and caring, not only a coach who encouraged you to do your best, but everyone's friend. Even the people who didn't know her as well as her students adored her. Miss Foster was the most selfless person we knew. Service club was always interesting, volleyball was always energetic, and school was never boring, all because of Miss Foster. While writing this, it was so hard to decide which story we wanted to include because there were so many good times with Miss Foster. She was the kind of person who never let the kids who were struggling slip through the cracks. Some of the students who were really touched by Miss Foster wanted to share some stories that show how amazing Miss Foster really was. Miss Foster was involved in so many clubs and activities this year and became the volleyball coach this past fall, and Lucy was a player on the team. Miss Foster would wear various fancy keychains around her neck that would jingle as she was walking. When you heard the keys, you knew Miss Foster was coming. Now, whenever Lucy hears any keys jingle, it reminds Lucy of her and the times that she would come into the gym and say, "Hey girls, are you ready for practice?" And then make them do a bunch of laps around the gym and countless burpees. But in spite of that, practice was always a time to look forward to, because even though Miss Foster worked her team hard, she still loved them and cared so much about every single one of her students. Miss Foster was so dedicated to everything she did. Throughout the fall, to make sure that everyone could still be a part of service club and volleyball, every other week she had service club in the morning in her room instead of after school. One of her students, Lauren, was the president of the service club that Miss Foster was an advisor for. She remembers always looking forward to service club, and Miss Foster always making sure that they were thoroughly researching the charities that they were donating money to, so they knew the difference that they were making. She was so dedicated in helping people in need that she even made them research charities like Pennies for Patients and what it really was about, so they knew the difference that they were making in the world. One of Miss Foster's students, Gavin, got stitches in his finger this year and had a hard time getting around the school. He remembers that one day he was walking and dropped his binders. Right away, Miss Foster was there to help him pick up his books. This clearly portrayed Miss Foster's character because she was always there to help anyone. Another one of Miss Foster's students this year, Alexia, remembers that almost every day after school she would go up to make a joke to Miss Foster, and it wasn't even funny most of the time, but every single time she would laugh, and Miss Foster's laugh would make her laugh. Jack remembers that Miss Foster was always open to jokes, no matter how annoying they were, and always put up with them. For example, when Jack kept telling her that he was Beyonce, she never yelled or got angry. She always chuckled along and went on with her lesson about Julius Caesar or the Qin Dynasty. I remember that social studies was my least favorite subject in school. In elementary school, I would always dread going to social studies class. But when I entered middle school, Miss Foster completely changed that. Every day, I would be 1, excited to see Miss Foster, and 2, learn new things Miss Foster would teach me. Thanks to her encouragement and love for teaching, social studies became my favorite class and something I always looked forward to. Miss Foster was a heartwarming, encouraging, determined, devoted, and overall an outstanding person who was more than a teacher to everyone. She helped all of our students to be better people and also taught us ancient history, which I have to admit can be very hard to explain. We learned, laughed, and had fun in Miss Foster's class every day. Each day, seeing her smile, hearing her say, "Good morning, boys and girls," and at the end of the day, her saying, "Have a fabulous evening," made everyone's day brighter. These are some of the things we all remember about Miss Foster that clearly demonstrates her character. That shows just how amazing person she was and how great she was. She just warmed our hearts. Even if you were having the worst day, Miss Foster would always put a smile on your face. You always hear reports on the news about accidents like this happening, but you never think that it could happen to someone you love. It's impossible to comprehend the amount of people Miss Foster touched in her life. We know that she's watching over us and helping us get through these tough times. We love her and we're really going to miss her, more than we ever thought we could.
Throughout the process and planning of this evening, our superintendent has really been there. His guidance and support should be in our committee. I can't tell you how many times we've called upon him to ask for support. And at this time, I'd ask our superintendent of schools, Dr. Louis Enbold, to come up to the podium for a special presentation and words.
Hi, everybody. My first meeting with Sarah was a little less auspicious. It was summer. We hadn't quite hired her yet. I was in a very big hurry to get out of the building, and I went outside and somebody had parked illegally and was blocking my space. And I thought I was going to be angry, and then this person came out and just smiled and said, "Oh, I'm really sorry." And I thought, okay. See you later. So we've heard lots of words tonight. Angela did a magnificent job of capturing who this person was. And I keep hearing words like life force, energy, and unfortunately I, as the superintendent, sometimes stand back and I don't get to experience these magnificent teachers as closely as others. We have a process, though, that's pretty daunting when we grant tenure. And we sit in rooms, literally, for hours and hours and hours, and we talk about teachers. And I was reviewing the comments just the other day of the things that were written about Sarah. They're typically not written about probationary teachers. Moral imperative was one of those words. We've talked a lot about her energy and her enthusiasm. I think there was more to her than energy and enthusiasm, and more to her than just loving kids. She was determined, absolutely determined, to be the best possible teacher she could be. It was a very serious purpose to her life. So despite the smile and despite the bouncy personality, there was so much more to her. I do have a story. If you're a first or second year teacher, we bring you together for 4 days in the summer and we put you through your paces. Achieving tenure in our district, quite frankly, is very, very difficult, and only the finest teachers achieve it. But I've tried to figure out how this 27-year-old girl has managed to make such a lasting impression. And we're here talking about her tonight, not because she is gone, but because of what she left. There was something unique about her, and I think I saw it one day, and it was captured in just a moment. Our director of science had brought some glasses. There was a solar eclipse about to happen. You need special glasses or you go blind or something. And a whole bunch of first and second year teachers came outside, and Sarah was among them. I actually have some pictures of it. The thing that struck me about her is she went from being this very serious teacher, being the most joyful child you could ever imagine. She was filled in that moment with a passion for experiencing what it was that was happening for herself and for others. She mastered a secret. Picasso said every child is an artist. The trick is renaming an artist as you grow old. I'd like to rephrase it just a little bit. Sarah had the secret of holding on to her childhood, of being excited every day about life, about extracting from people and experiences meaning and purpose and joy. I know the best way that we can and will honor her is to try to live our own lives like that. And for such a young woman to have that sense of purpose, that incredible joy, that need to touch people is transformative. And she truly was transformative. And for a 27-year-old, that's quite a mouthful. Now, typically, tenure is awarded to probationary teachers after 4 years of long, hard work and lots and lots and lots of evaluation and feedback. When Scott came to me, I was not surprised to see the artifacts that were important to Sarah, because some people just find their purpose. This young woman was born to be a teacher. And so the fact that her appointment letter was laminated, I don't know what it's about laminating a teacher, was still in her classroom was not surprising to me. The fact that one of her last communications was to a student saying, "I'm going to meet you for extra help," was not surprising to me. And I suggested to Scott, after speaking with the board, the greatest honor we could pay Sarah and her family is to let her know what we were all certain of. When we grant you tenure in Harrison, it's a lifetime commitment. It's our commitment to you and your commitment to us. When I thought about the best way to honor her, I went to the board and said, we've never done this in our history. Tomorrow night at our board meeting, Sarah will be forever part of the Harrison Central School District as we confer tenure on her tomorrow night. An honor well-deserved and well-earned. You can clap for that. The other thing I want to say to her mom and dad and her family is that I thought long and hard. I'm a father of 2 daughters, 31 and 29. I can't imagine the pain and tragedy that this has brought upon your family. But I thought, what would I want to know? And what I want you to know is that this community, these children, this faculty, this administration, we saw your daughter. She was visible to us in every one of her magnificent dimensions. And tonight, with your permission, she was yours, but we claim just a little piece, Sarah, for us forever. Thank you.
Okay, so one last piece, which we thought was important, and it's interesting. I found out many things, including the fact that Sarah was a great lover of Broadway, and as it turns out, one of the things she loved was the musical Wicked. And so, to conclude our ceremony tonight, I'm going to ask members of the Skylarks, one of our extracurricular singing groups, and several other volunteers who have just chosen to join us tonight, under Chris Spinner's direction, to come up. We're going to also hold down the screen. We have some pictures to show too. They're going to be singing a song from that musical, For Good. And when that song ends, I ask all of you to join me and everyone else. We're going to go out the door and down the hallway, and we have a reception which was graciously sponsored by our PTA. And we can just meet there and talk, but this is how we're going to conclude with a beautiful song which I think will bring some loving memories. And so at this point, I'd ask the LMK Skylarks to come up. We can bring those.
Come into our lives for a reason, bringing something we